Thank you. Good morning. I'm really excited to be here. Since joining HARMAN, it's been an incredible journey that we've been on from a digital transformation perspective, both inside the company, but also, of course, with the acquisition that Samsung has made with us. It's brought tremendous opportunities. So first, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's certainly an honor to be here at this event. I had a chance to look around at some of the booths yesterday, and today the technology is mind-blowing. It's really innovative and revolutionary. And what's really interesting to me is this is my first event that I attended. I ran into some peers of mine, CIOs, CISOs, and CTOs, which in its own right is fairly unique from what I understand. And I think it speaks to the integral part that chief information officers and chief security officers and chief technology officers are the integral part of the role that they're playing within shaping not only the company's digital strategy, but also helping support both the development of innovation on products and services with the respective companies. And so I'm very excited to talk a little bit about that journey. I don't need to tell anyone in this room about how much the auto industry is changing. But the reality is while the auto industry is changing, the CIO role has to change with it. And so fundamentally, we're looking at a lot of different requirements and expectations as we evolve the industry as well as evolve our roles within our IT organizations. And so I wanted to share a little bit about how I view some of the requirements of a CIO and, quite frankly, how my CEO and also the employees, the senior executives, and customers view the new role of the CIO. So I'll take you through a couple of attributes. The first is really strong business acumen and mindset. The purview of the CIO is very unique, that it sees the enterprise in a much broader way, and it has to go broad and deep relative to processes, technologies, and understanding really what the business problems are that the company's trying to solve. And so, having that purview and understanding the expectations and the business strategy and aligning the digital strategy is really just the beginning. That used to be table stakes for the CIO, but now we're being asked to not only align the business strategy and the digital strategy, but we need to see around corners, understand what market shifts there are, what disruptive technologies are coming into the foray, and also promote new business models within our respective companies. So we're shifting from the traditional CIO role of making sure that the infrastructure and the email and the cyber components of the company are working internally to more of a strategic front-facing role. Secondly, we have to build a much stronger pipeline of talent and a very diverse, different set of skills and competencies within the organization, more so than we ever have before. So we're looking at ways of optimizing the organization, getting closer to the business partners and customers, and building out digital domains and technologies around analytics, artificial intelligence, cloud-based technologies. Those are very much the new paradigm shift, and we've got to take a look at what the competencies are and develop new curriculum models, as well as attract, develop, and retain the digital workers in a very different way. But that's just the beginning of it. The reality is also all employees and companies are changing the way they do work and the way that they utilize these technologies every day. So it's not good enough to just train and build a diverse workforce within the IT organizations, but now the CIO is expected to also help in that effort around training and education and adoption of these new technologies and tools, so we can make sure that the investments that we're making are yielding real impactful change for the company. Also on the continuum, it's really around strategic execution. But it's the speed of the innovation and the execution has changed. We've always been pretty good at delivering, but we now have to deliver faster through agile methodologies, through new means of utilizing things like design thinking. All of these things have to speed up the innovation and the new product introduction cycles, as well as make sure that we're hitting the quick wins all along the way to demonstrate value for the company. And that goes, it extends to the product as well. Part of what the CIO role is really about too is making sure that we're delivering clear outcomes. There's the never-ending challenges and demands and expectations of everything's a big priority, but you have to make sure that we're really focused on the critical path priorities that are going to drive benefit realization for the company. So being an integral part of not only the budgeting planning cycle, but also the investment cycles, and looking at ways to drive profitable growth and revenue, new business models and introductions, but being able to walk the investments that we're making back to the general ledger and working with the finance community to confirm that the investments that we're making are really driving operational efficiency, productivity, margin enhancement for the company, and presenting new revenue streams for the company. So clear outcomes are absolutely a must when we're in a challenging industry with challenging business dynamics. And then the last piece, and kind of where I'm here today, is to tell the story. CIOs generally go kind of, in my opinion, humbly about their business. The IT organizations generally, don't get a chance to get out in front and talk about the things that they're working on. But my goal is to talk about the amazing work and innovation that men and women do every day in HARMAN. And so it's been a phenomenal story. And so I'll take you through a little bit about how the team is transforming the company and the products. But building the culture, building the brand, and telling the story of the digital organization that we're building, it's certainly, our organization has earned the right for me to come and tell the story. So I'm very excited to share a little bit more with you today. So my 2.5 years ago when I joined HARMAN, we were going through a lot of change. And this is really not that uncommon for most CIOs. We've all experienced this throughout our careers, where you might be entering into similar circumstances that I entered into with HARMAN, where we've gone through 14 different acquisitions in a very short period of time, growing the business and the portfolio of product offerings and innovation very rapidly. That created some fragmented silos, different infrastructure, different applications, different ways of doing work, different processes. The second was, we were being outpaced by the business in terms of the growth of the business and the investments that were being made. We weren't keeping up with some of the digital competencies that were required in order to get us to the next level of helping the business be successful. So we had a lot of gaps in especially the new digital technologies like digital analytics and cloud-based architecture, mobility, and so we had some work to do in those areas. We also are sitting on a lot of old hardware and servers. And again, if any of you walked some of the auto industry manufacturing floors, you'll see that there's some old technology still sitting out there, right? And so figuring out how to upgrade that technology to get it to the best standards so that you can truly get scalable, integrated, insightful information is a pretty important thing. And then the last piece I would say is, we had some vulnerabilities, as I mentioned. With the older systems, you've got older operating systems, older servers, old systems that haven't been patched in a long time, and there's a lot of vulnerabilities. So getting that inventory and cleaning it up was something that we desperately needed to do. So we had all of these realities of the current state, but then we had these aspirations. As a company, we wanted to grow the company 2 to 3x in a matter of years. We wanted to be a $20 billion company by 2025. And what we recognized as an organization is we were either going to be the single biggest impediment to growth for the company, or we were going to be the single biggest enabler for the company. And so we set out on a vision and a mission to be the biggest enabler for the company. So The first thing we did was we set a vision. We said, my goodness, we've got amazing products, amazing technology. We've got incredible, robust digital cockpits with incredible user experience. We've got ADAS systems that are intelligent. We have telematics and over-the-air update capabilities that are first rate. And we've got in-vehicle cyber that's very strong. But if we're not a good reference partner, if we're not the best reference point for the company, then what does that say about us? So we wanted to get on the same plane. We wanted to be as good as our products, as our innovation, as our services, and be a real enabler for that. So we looked at our vision and we said, we're going to be the best reference point for employees, customers, and partners. Anybody that comes here is going to see we're just as good on the inside as we are on the outside. And in turn, we're going to help the company be successful. So we laid out 5 S's. The first is we were going to be simpler. We wanted to just make it easier for employees to do their work, and we wanted to make it easier for customers to work with us. Pretty simple. The second was we wanted to provide more intelligent insights. We had a lot of data that we were sitting on, operational data, IT data, that we weren't really driving any insights on. We were constantly doing a lot of manual manipulation. So we needed to look at getting smarter and leveraging the data that we had and drive insights and analytics. The third was scalable. We couldn't scale because of the acquisitions. We didn't have integrated processes. We didn't have integrated systems, and we certainly didn't have clean master data. So the ability to get to that next level, we had to look at the best-in-class scalable architecture and technologies and move toward that very rapidly. And then security, that's table stakes. We had to make sure that we were doing all we could around data loss prevention, intellectual property, patching endpoint vulnerabilities. And then the last was successful. We were going to reorganize the organization to align more closely with the business, where we would feed in business objectives, use centers of competence to determine what the best technology was, and then use a rapid service delivery model to execute on those programs that we needed to do. And we were going to build diverse talent by doing it. We were going to have rotational roles. We were going to have internships. We were going to have digital leadership programs. We were going to look at bringing in external thought leaders to help build knowledge transfer. And we were going to share in the talent. We were going to look at strong, robust succession planning and share across the company. So all of those things really have some pretty unique parallels to how auto execs think. I think when you look at some of the ways that the industry is changing, I find that the things that I was thinking about are very similar to the way that some of our executives were thinking. First is the workforce is changing. It's all about the user experience. No longer is work a place that you go and something that you do. Work and life are completely intertwined. Whether you're in the home, on the go, in the car, or at the workplace, life and work are intertwined. And so the one thing we wanted to do is create a unique user experience where we were bringing work to life on any endpoint, any device, a personalized user experience that was persona-based that allowed people to do their jobs a lot easier, that connected workforce productivity tools, collaboration tools, video conferencing capabilities, one-touch applications, but making it easy for people to do what they want to do. And we also leverage our internal design agency, HARMAN, to help us build out some really robust user experience graphics. Now that's not really that different when you think about digital cockpits and displays and infotainment and all of the things that we're trying to do around the vehicle on an immersive experience. And so why couldn't we extend some of the things that you do in the home, on the go, in the workplace, into the vehicle as well? So I believe that the workforce on wheels is going to be here very soon. When we move from ADAS to autonomous, the vehicle is nothing more than another work office where you can personalize those things based on your persona and your role. So if you're a salesperson, you can see where your key contacts are in proximity to where you might be, pull up some information relative to the account, spend a little time and efficiency on being able to make a couple of additional calls. That's just the starting point. But I believe that whether it's in work or in life, this immersive experience and the endpoint in the vehicle is going to continue to evolve, and who better than the CIO to be able to present some unique ideas and use cases for that immersive experience as it moves into the vehicle. Second thing is data as a service. There's a lot of discussion always about data as the new oil. The truth is, it's pretty heavy fuel oil. We're in the process of doing a lot of refinement to get it to really usable jet fuel, but we're sitting on a lot of data, and we know how to aggregate large amounts of data and data lakes and present visualization layers, and then put on top of it algorithms that provide better insights. And we started, doing the basics first. And I think before you can get the brilliant, you've got to do the basics. So we cleaned up the customer information, the product information, the supplier information. And then we started bringing in very visual, real-time KPIs around what's the forecasting accuracy on demand look like, what does the material capacity planning look like, what do our quality issues look like, what do our product line profitability views look like? And we made it visible across the company. You go to that next step around algorithms and analytics, we're applying what-if planning capabilities. So the what-if scenario of what if we have a supply disruption? How do we respond to that in advance? Those are, again, some things that we're moving toward, but the reality is we're getting more and more sophisticated about taking operational data, IT data, and third-party data to bring in unique sets of new business models and revenues for the OEMs. So similarly, the auto execs are thinking about how do I create data monetization? One of the things that I think is unique with HARMAN, too, is we have some insight because we sell 50 million products on our lifestyle, consumer, and audio business, JBL, HARMAN Kardon, Bang & Olufsen. Those things provide insights on perhaps opportunities around take rates at dealers and the OEMs. If you like JBL, or you like Mark Levinson, or you like HARMAN Kardon, you've got preferences and behaviors and interests that you share, and that provides some insight for us to be able to tell that person, did you know that our JBL product is in Toyota, that our Lexus is in Mark Levinson? Perhaps if you're in the buying market and you're in the buying cycle, perhaps there's a great opportunity to increase demand. Again, that's a simple way. There's many, many ways that we think utilizing data insights is going to really drive new revenue streams from our partners. On the scalable platforms, this is a big shift for us. We were a heavy on-prem company with not a lot of speed of execution, not a lot of capabilities in terms of speed of innovation, and not a lot of integration between our CRM, our customer relationship management, our product lifecycle management, and our enterprise resource planning system. Those are the foundations of where the product gets designed, built, delivered, and maintained. And so if you don't have a strong DNA and a digital thread that cuts across those things, it's very hard to improve it once it gets in the vehicle, and being able to get that data back from the vehicle into our continuous process improvement and design is something that we're very interested in doing. So having an integrated, scalable pillar platform technology is table stakes and it's foundational. But then when you put on top of that the power of the cloud, and everyone's moving to the cloud in vehicle, there's a lot of similarities. CIOs have been working on data centers and networks and cloud and edge for decades. We work closely with the telecom companies, we work closely with the data center companies, we work closely with the cloud companies. We have economies of scale, leverage, and relationships that we should be all working together to further move the company forward. And so that's exactly what we did. We built a cloud-based centralized hub where whether you were internally moving, migrating, and monitoring applications internally to the cloud, or you wanted to build product on the cloud. If you were a software engineer and you were working on a product for the OEM, you came in through the centralized cloud marketplace, and it's cloud agnostic. If you want to build on Amazon, you can build on Amazon. If you want to build on Google, you want to build on Azure, whatever you want to build on will be cloud agnostic. You pick the components, you build up the tech stack, and you push the button just like you would order online something out of a shopping cart, and it automatically generates it, and it starts providing metered and provisioned and cost consumption information. And we have 32 different bots and growing that will help us ensure security, ensure cost optimization, and ensure visibility to make sure that we're getting the most out of those economies of scale. Revolutionary for our company. And again, it doesn't matter whether you're building for the product or you're building internally. We come one place and we've got governance and security and all of the essential services provided, irrespective of what you're building. And that extends, again, when we look at our ability to go from the core to the cloud and cloud to the edge, whether that's, again, a laptop, a desktop, a cell phone, or the vehicle, those connections with Wi-Fi, moving from Wi-Fi 5 to 6, moving from LTE 4G to 5G, all the backhaul and all of the routers and infrastructure, all of those things are there. We're working very closely and integrated tightly with all of those providers that were always there that we worked with for many years. So I think there's some great opportunities there, and certainly HARMAN is gaining from that strategy. And the last one is digital trust. We are GDPR compliant. We place the focus on that very seriously. We make sure that the intellectual property, our data privacy, our enterprise risk and vulnerabilities are at the forefront of every day what we do. And we have a robust practice around detecting and remediating vulnerabilities. We have a robust incident management and security operations center with notifications and alerts. We have incredible rigor around doing simulations and disaster recovery. And also, we take audits very seriously. We are TSAX certified, we are ISO certified, and that is absolutely table stakes for us. Where we're going next is utilizing artificial intelligence, both internal in our infrastructure and our networks and our cloud security, as well as in vehicle. So looking at signatures and anomalies and creating a standard profile, but then able to use machine learning to detect true anomalies and cut out a lot of the noise and get right to the incident and response is critically important. So our governance, our security standards around coding practices, our robustness around key encryption with the OEMs, all of those things are done in a consistent and a governed manner, whether you're building security, internal or external. And when we have a simulation and a communication crisis, it's incredibly important that we practice those things because we will be going from our core, from the cloud to the edge and in the vehicle, and we have to have all parties connected and ready to respond, irrespective of where that vulnerability may have originated from. And so the last piece I'll talk about is just the change in culture, the change in careers. HARMAN is an amazing place for me, quite honestly. The level of empowerment, engagement, expertise that I've gotten from the CEO, from the executive committee, from the employees, from our stakeholders, from our partners, I couldn't ask for a better situation. We truly get an opportunity to try new things, to fail fast, reward and retain people, and we're building an incredible pipeline of talent, both early career, mid-year, and experienced career talent. So it's a terrific place to be, but careers and expectations and skill sets and competencies will be continually changing, and we've got to get ahead of the curve. So lastly, hopefully you've been able to see a little bit of the parallels between how a CIO thinks about things internally and how that transcends and extends to the auto industry and the products in which we build and serve. I think certainly you're going to see more and more CIOs, CDOs, and CISOs, and CTOs around the executive table, at these speaking engagements. I hope I get a chance to meet a lot of you. We don't get out that much, so it's going to be great to share best practices. But the reality is, I think this is a coalition of the willing. I think a lot of us are doing the same things and experiencing things in the same way. And I think together we can advance the auto industry a lot faster. So thank you for the opportunity. And with that, I'll wrap up and answer some questions.